All right. These experiential exercises are probably going to wind up at around 6 o'clock or so. Those of you who want to know, maybe a little before, could be before. Probably won't be any more than 6:30, but could be as much as 5:45 or something. Anyway, at that point, if any of you still have any heart left in you for hanging out here and sitting in those chairs, I'll be glad to do questions for a while if you just want to ask questions. And I'll try to do that at the end of each day, if you can stay and if you're interested. So we can do questions until Franck has to shoo us out of here because the management, we've overrun our time. So anyway, that's what's coming up. All right, I'm going to have 2 things to do here, and I'm going to talk about meditation, and then we're going to practice some meditation, and then I'm going to do 2 healing and 2 remote viewing exercises, and then at the end I'm going to give you 1 kind of personal choice, where you will have learned some tools, and now you can just go apply your tools. You can try to heal someone, or remote view some object. So I just want to give you some general things. The reason I do this, I don't know if I've mentioned it yet to this group, the reason I do this is because I'm constantly telling you, go find out. Don't believe me, go find out. My big toe should just be like an on-ramp or a facilitator of your own big toe. What you're doing is creating your own big toe out of your own experience. And if it's not your experience, it's not your truth. So if you've never done any of these things, if you've never experienced the larger consciousness system, then the larger consciousness system is just theory. Don't believe it, don't disbelieve it. It's just a possibility, and you collect data. Well, if I tell you that, then I need to give you some help in collecting data so that you can actually do that. So that's what we're going to do. And the first step to collecting this data is always to get the mind quiet. Your mind, if you're normal, if you're typical, your mind is noisy. Some people call that monkey mind. That's your mind just yada, 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 and all the time, analyzing, judging, comparing, figuring out what it's going to do next, making schedules, making lists. It's just constantly churning on stuff. That's your intellect. That gets in the way. That's where your problem is. So the first thing we do is learn how to turn that off. That's what meditation is. Meditation is just a tool for you to turn off that constant chatter. And until you do that, your mind has a hard time focusing, because what it's doing is it's parallel processing. It's a little bit of this chatter, a little bit of that chatter, a little bit of meditation, a little bit of chatter, a little bit of chatter, a little bit of meditation, and it's flying around like that. And that doesn't make it very focused. And it's hard for you to get much energy or much power into it when it's scattered in all dimensions. So that's what you're doing. You think of a garden hose, and if you close that nozzle and the water just sprays out in all directions, right? It's just a mist. It just sprays out and it doesn't do much. But if you get it all centered in one direction, now you get something that can affect something. Well, that's what we're doing. We're trying to get the meditation to quiet your mind. Okay, there are several meditation formats. There's probably hundreds of meditation formats, but there's several that are just common. And one of these is the mantra. That's the one I first learned, which was from the Transcendental Meditation. And in Transcendental Meditation, some initiated individual gives you a somewhat magical mantra that has magical qualities that moves your vibration to, nirvana or something. And this is a Sanskrit word, and it's got all this stuff that goes with it. I found out with testing that it really doesn't matter. It's a sound. And the sound has to have a couple of qualities, and all these things will have the same qualities. I tell you about the sound, and it'll work with all the rest of them. All the sound does is it gives you some nonsense, non-operable thing to fill your mind with. And if your mind is full of that, then it can't be full of thoughts. Because the way those thoughts fly around, like I say, they're not really parallel processing, they're time sharing. A little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit someplace else. But if you're focused on something, then they kind of go away. So we want you to focus on nonsense. We want you to focus on fluff. Stuff that doesn't mean anything, something you can't read anything into it, something your mind just can't operate on, it's just there. Okay, so that's the point of the mantra, that's the point of body awareness. That body awareness is one where you just be aware of your breath. Sometimes people will be aware of their whole body. They'll be aware of their toes. They'll be aware of their knees. They just move through the body, and they're aware of the body parts. But breath is typically enough. Another way of doing it is visual. You can have a visual image, and the guys will do this more easily than most females. Most guys are more visual. And that means you bring up an image. And the image I like to bring up for those people who are really visual is bring up like a soccer ball. And have the soccer ball where you can see it. This is eyes closed. You see it in your mind's eye. And then let the soccer ball rotate. You get all those little black and white facets going around. Let it rotate. And you can let it rotate a little faster if thoughts start coming in. But that's enough to keep your mind full. But a soccer ball in your vision is just not all that inspiring or all that operative, so it becomes dull and boring after a while. And what you do then is you let the ball get slower and slower and slower, and eventually when there aren't any thoughts, you let it go. It's the same with the mantra. You use the mantra to fill your mind with a sound. You say it in your mind, you don't say it out loud. And it should be a 2-syllable or 3-syllable sound. It should roll off the tongue easily, and it's a bonus if it has kind of an ing, ding, ling, kind of resonant sound at the end of it. Okay, so I'm going to make up several for you, and you can try them out and pick one if you like. And you could just make one up if you want. I found the made-up ones work just as good as the magic ones. So you can just make one up and it'll work fine. But the key is it's non-operative. And it fills your mind so you're not doing other things with your mind that are operative. Judging, analyzing, thinking, assessing. Am I doing this right? See, that's the first thing people think. They start and they're not into it for 10 seconds. Am I doing this right? Is this the way I should say it? Did I say this just exactly the way I heard it? Or am I doing it, and you get all this stuff going on and you need to let all that go. Just do it. All that stuff doesn't matter. Just do it. It's not the technique that will deliver success. It's the doing it. Doesn't matter if you do it badly. Badly is just as good as doing it perfectly. It's not the technique, it's the doing it. Just fill your head with these nonsense sounds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of explain each one of these, and we're going to spend a little time, maybe 5 minutes, with you doing them. So I've got 4 of them. That's like 20 minutes worth of meditation, which is about typical for beginning meditation. It lasts about 20 minutes, because otherwise people start to get a little antsy after 20 minutes. So that's about right. And that will give you some experience with 4 different kinds of meditation. And just try to do them. Now, about half of you are experienced meditators. You already have your techniques. You already have your way of doing it. But I would ask that you just try these other ways. They'll be different. And they won't be as good as the way that you do. You see? But don't judge them. Just do them and see how it works. You may find that you can integrate several of these techniques together. Whatever works for you. If it works for you, it's good. You see, that's the key. It's not, am I doing it right, but does it work for me? It'll only work if you just let it happen. Don't struggle. If you say, oh, there's another thought. Oh, another thought. I can't get rid of these thoughts. What's the matter with me? You see, now you're struggling with it, and if you struggle with it, you'll ruin the whole effect. You have to let those, when you say, oh, there's another thought, put that aside. Gently, calmly, put it aside. Don't be upset by it. You just Everything has to be just easy and gentle and quiet, that sort of thing. And you have to not let your environment bother you, because you're going to hear other people. Somebody's going to sneeze. Somebody's going to shuffle around. Somebody will slam a door out here in the hall. People will walk by talking. Just be non-operative on it. Yes, it's there. So what? It's my environment. It's all benign. I don't care. I'm not going to operate on it. If you say, darn, listen to that. Somebody walking down the hall talking on their cell phone, rude person, and you get into that with it, then you're just going to ruin it. So you just have to let everything be easy and gentle with all of it. That's the key. Don't intellectualize. What we're going to do doesn't require an intellect. You can do this all from the being level. Keep your intellect out of it. All right. Let's see, one more thing. The goal, of course, is to end up in a state with no thoughts. Now, if you're a real experienced meditator, you can probably do that in seconds, and you can probably do it with any of these methods. If you're not, you may struggle with that. But I don't expect everybody to get to a point where there's no thoughts. When you have no thoughts, you are what I call a point consciousness. What it feels like to you is that you're a point of consciousness floating in a black void, right? No sight, no sound, no feeling, no touch. You don't really notice you're sitting on a chair. You don't really hear any of the stuff. You don't really see the light, behind your eyelids. All that, it's there. It's in your background, but you just don't operate on it. So it's not really that you don't know you're in a chair. It's just you don't care. The chair becomes irrelevant to you. You see, the cell phone in the hall just becomes irrelevant to you. It doesn't matter. So if you don't focus on it, basically it disappears. As you focus on it, it gets louder and louder and louder and more annoying. So that's the key. So let's do the first one. Here's a mantra, and so here are 3 mantras that seem to work, and you can practice them some. Don't feel bashful about saying them out loud just to see if it sounds right to you, but you can make one up if you want. Okay, the first one is Sering. 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 If you say it just like that in your mind, Sering. Say it as often or as fast as you need in order to keep the thoughts out. And then if there's no thoughts for a while, slow it down. Slow it down. And then, like I say, you get to a point where there's no thoughts. Now you're thinking more about the mantra than anything else. Let the mantra go. Just hang there with no thoughts. All right, the second one would be Moling. Moling. The third one would be Jaya Jing. Jaya Jing. Okay, so that's Sering, Moling, Jaya Jing. And those will be 3 manas. Pick one. You can try all 3 of them if you like and see which ones you like better. And then close your eyes. Be aware of your environment. Say, yeah, okay, it's environment. This is what it is. It's okay with me. Environment, you're fine. I'll let you be. Yeah, deep breath. And I'll give you about 5, maybe 7 minutes to do this. And then we'll go on and do the next one. Of course, you're going to get progressively better because what you gain in this one will be where you start with the next one and where you start with the next one. So it should build. So go ahead, take the next 5 or 7 minutes to relax, take a deep breath, and kind of keep a very loose track. Don't be thinking about it, but just kind of a very loose awareness of how effective you think it is. Okay, go ahead. and remain in your altered state of consciousness, but change the mantra to body awareness. Let your attention be with your breath. Have nothing in your mind but be with your breath. Maintain your state of altered consciousness, but let your body awareness change to viewing a visual object. Look at or imagine a slowly rotating object. Could be a ball or a wheel or a shape like a triangle, or maybe just a spot that gets larger and smaller. Find something simple that you can easily do, perhaps even just a line, something that's easy. Look at it in detail. Slow it down as your thoughts disappear. Maintain your altered state of consciousness. Let go of the visual object and view or imagine a visual scene, perhaps a beach with a few children playing quietly by the water. Use all of your senses: smell, feeling, sight, hearing. As the thoughts go away, have less detail. You very slowly come back to the waking state. Slowly open your eyes, but maintain a deep feeling of relaxation. All right, everybody back, nice and relaxed. Good. We're going to talk a little bit about healing. Then I'm going to give you an opportunity to pick one of those four, or one of your own if you like, before we start the healing exercises. First, I want to talk a little about healing. Frank, we need the answer sheets for Friday. We're going to pass you a little packet of paper that'll allow you to draw pictures on when you see an image or something. Allow you to take a little notes and draw some pictures. It'll make it easier for you. So they're going to hand those out. While they're handing those out, I want to tell you a little bit about what we're going to do with the healing. Okay. First of all, in those exercises, did you notice a difference in the four different methods? Did they come out clearly different, or was it all just more of the same? What did you think? Different? Okay. Some were better than others, some were easier than others. Yeah. Pick the ones that work best for you. And of course, in all of them, the way it works is the more you have thoughts, then the more active you want to be, whatever it is you're doing. The more you want to say, the more often you want to say the mantra, the more often you want to have your object rotate. And the object doesn't have to be complicated. Some people who are very good at visualization can make very complex objects, and others just align about what they feel comfortable with. That's fine. And it doesn't have to rotate. It could pulsate, it could wiggle back and forth. It doesn't matter. It's just what the action does is make it a little more complicated, so it requires more of your focus to do it, which means less focus jumping around in thoughts. Then as the thoughts don't come, let the focus go, slow it down, make it low resolution, kind of make it sketchy, so you go from something that's more detailed to something that's just kind of foggy, and then eventually it just kind of disappears in the fog and is gone altogether, and you're in that point consciousness state. So that's the idea. Then as thoughts come back, well, pick it up a little more detailed. So you need a little more action, a little more activity to keep the thoughts away. So that's how that will work. And any of these can be very effective at meditation if you practice. It probably would take 2 months worth of practice with one of them, about twice a day, before you should start to feel like you're in that groove and it becomes kind of natural for you to do it. And you can mix and match. You can start with one and shift to another. Again, there's nothing magic about any of these. It's just a matter of letting your mind float free. Okay, now, when we do healing, I'm going to ask you to make a humanoid outline. When I say a humanoid outline, don't try to bring up a high-res photo of a human. It's not that. It's just, I don't know, in France, do you have gingerbread cookies? They're made like little men, right? Little women? Can't tell the difference, can you? Gingerbread cookies, non-sexual. But anyway, get a gingerbread person, I'm trying to be politically correct here, And what you will do is just that kind of human. You know, here's a head, here's shoulders, here are arms, here's body, here are the legs and feet and hands. You know, you have all that stuff. But it's just a representation. It's a symbol is what it is. It's a metaphor for a physical body. Don't try to see a physical body. Just the metaphor is fine. Okay, so that's one sticking point. People sometimes feel the need to make precise things. Okay, when I do this healing, just like in the meditation, but even worse, I'm going to go very fast. I'm not going to give you a lot of time to do the things I say. So just try to do them and move on. The reason for that is the more time I give you, the harder it will be for you to do it. Because if I give you time, you'll have time to think about it. You'll have time to get your intellect involved. Am I doing it right? Did I see that? Do I have it done this way? Should my image be a little better? And yada, yada, yada. So it's better just to keep moving without taking the time to get into all that intellectual yammering. So it'll be quick. But don't worry about that. If you somehow feel like you're behind, don't let that stress you. Just skip to where we are when you're done doing what you're doing, and come back in and join us. You know, it's that sort of thing. Everything's got to be low-key and relaxing. Okay, so those are two things. The most important thing, forget about right answers. You're not trying to get a right answer. That's the wrong attitude. If you have the attitude that I'm trying to get a right answer, I know we learn this in school, right? You're sitting there and I'm the teacher, you're supposed to get right answers. That's what we do. Don't try to get a right answer. Just get whatever comes. This is an experiment. You're going to ask, you're going to have an intent. I'm going to lead you into having an intent to get certain information out of these databases. Don't think about what you're doing. Don't think about how you're going to do it. Don't think about whether you can do it or any of that. Don't think about what's the right answer, the wrong, or did I really see that? Just keep that intellect down and out of the picture. Just do it. Just do it without your intellect getting in the way. That's the key. So what you have to be is a scientist. Just be a scientist, and you're doing an experiment, and you just want to see what you get. It's just that simple. I'm doing this experiment. I'll follow the directions. I'll just see what I get. Don't have to be right then. If it's wrong, it's okay. Just gonna see what I get. And then afterwards, I'll tell you the truth of what it is, and you can see how you did. And if you didn't do so well, that's okay. Well, I'm not trying to make everybody a wizard here. I'm trying to give you experience with technique such that you can then go home and become a wizard on your own. See? That's what I hope you get out of it. So I'm just going to give you a lot of ways of doing it. Now I'm giving you structure such that you can take this structure like the meditation, and in 2 or 3 months of doing this meditations, any of them twice a day, you should get fairly good at it. 2 or 3 months. And you speed the stuff up when you get thoughts and let it go and kind of let it dissolve when you don't. And it's just a very gentle thing. You'll enjoy it if you don't do it regularly now. You'll find it's a part of your day that you really don't want to miss. You look forward to it because it's very relaxing and you feel real good afterwards. So I would suggest that you all try it. Anyway, that's the point. Humanoid, very vague, just has to be a metaphor for a human. We're all into metaphors and symbols. So that's what we're doing. But our intents have to be clear. So we have to know exactly what we're intending. After you make the intent, you just open and see what comes. Usually the first thing that comes in the first 1/10 of a second is the best thing that's going to come. If you take that first thing and start second guessing it, you'll be all muddled up, wrapped around the axle in about a minute and flustered, and then everything else won't work after that. So just be a scientist. See what happens. No expectations. None. Anything could happen. You get them all wrong. That's okay. Just see what happens. We're going to learn a little bit of structure here that you can learn to use at home. Okay, no judging, no analysis, no expectations. Listen to, accept, then ignore your background, just as before. Okay, there's going to be noises. Accept it and let it go. Put all concerns aside temporarily, anything that you've been processing on your mind. Just let that go. Put it in a box, lock it up. Let everything else except my voice fall out of your mind. I'll be talking to you. You just focus on my voice and let everything else go. Okay, now one thing I'll have to say, this is for the people on YouTube who will see this 2 or 3 years later and will try to repeat these exercises. Of course, these people who we're going to heal may be in a totally different state of health then, but it won't matter, because if they have their intent to see it now, they will see it now. So time is a variable that we can play with in the larger conscious system. We're not stuck in a particular time. So for those watching the video, intend that you are looking at these people and remote viewing objects as they were on May 29, 2015. Your efforts to diagnose and heal will still be applied to generally promote their better health. Whether the remote viewing test objects still exist or not makes no difference. You will see them as they were on May 29, 2015. All right, so pick one of those 4 or one of your own, some kind of meditation, one of the 4 that work best for you. I'm going to give you 5 minutes, and then we're going to start in on healing our first test subject. This will be experiment 1. You should have a piece of paper that says experiment 1. Healing is going to be the experiment 1. So go ahead, take 5 minutes to get back into that meditation state. You ought to get back into it rather quickly now, because you're still, whether you know it or not, you're still kind of chilled in that meditation state. So go ahead, take the next 5 minutes. Somebody translate?
Regarde le dossier.
No, it's yours to keep. Nobody will know whether you got it right or got it wrong. It's yours to keep. You won't be checked. You won't be charged. Everything is okay. Just do it and do whatever happens. No, we won't be collecting those. It's not that we're collecting data here like in an experiment. I just want you to have the experience of going through the motions of doing this with the right attitude and just seeing what happens. All right, so go ahead and take the next 5 minutes, and I will start the experiment 1 in about 5 minutes.
Experiment 1. See or imagine a 3D humanoid outline. Intend clearly that this humanoid outline represents the physical health energy body of Michael G. as it exists at this moment. Hold that intent. Intend clearly that the energy that represents health in this energy body be white, and what represents a health problem be dark. The more serious the problem, the darker the energy looks. Hold that intent. Intend that the humanoid's shape's back is facing you, so its right side is now the same as your right side. Hold that intent. Notice where the dark areas are and which are most dark. With your attention on the dark spots, rotate the image of your viewing angle so you are looking at the side view. Then rotate further around to the front view. Without losing your altered state, open your eyes and roughly draw what you have seen. Then immediately return to viewing the health energy body of Michael G. Okay, repeat the last few steps and take a fresh look to see if you get the same thing. Have no expectations. Make sure you have drawn it more or less correctly. Make corrections as needed. Return to viewing the energy body. Diagnosis is complete, but continue to look at the health energy body of Michael G. Now, use your intent to direct a beam of high-powered, intensely bright white light to each dark area. Notice how this intensely powerful light beam easily restores the dark problem areas back to a healthy, very bright white color. Continue this until there are no dark areas left. Now, use the beam of light to make the entire energy body glow with intense white light. If the white is so bright that it hurts your eyes, put on sunglasses and crank the brightness up even further. Intend clearly that this energy body stay a super bright, healthy white for a long, long time. Intend that the energy you have placed on this body is so great that it will take the energy body a very long time to absorb all of it. Then hold that intent. Let that image go and simply float in the void for a moment. Experiment 2. See or imagine a 3D humanoid outline. See or imagine a 3D humanoid outline, like a thick gingerbread cookie. Intend clearly that this humanoid outline represents the physical health energy body of Ann R. as it is at this moment, and hold that intent. Intend clearly that the energy that represents health in this energy body be white, and what represents a health problem be dark. The more serious the problem, the darker the energy looks. Hold that intent. Intend that the humanoid's shape's back is facing you. Its right side is now the same as your right side. Hold that intent. Notice where the dark areas are and which are most dark. Now switch the color scheme. Clearly intend that from this moment forward, healthy tissue will be a beautiful shiny black, and unhealthy tissue will be a dirty white. The more serious the problem, the brighter the white energy looks. The worst problems glow with an intense luminosity, with beams of white light protruding from the afflicted areas. This way, tiny afflicted areas, even single cells, will be visible in this view. Now, switch your intent back to the original color scheme, where white is healthy and black is unhealthy. Hold that intent. With your attention on the dark spots, rotate the image of your viewing angle so you are looking at the side view. Then rotate to the front view. Back to the side view. And back to the back view. And finally end up with a front view. Without losing your altered state, open your eyes and roughly draw what you have seen. Then immediately return to viewing the health energy body of Ann R. You should be viewing the energy body of Ann R. Zoom in for a closer look. Get closer and closer until you can see individual cells, then so close that you see the insides of individual cells. Look for the problem at the cellular level and tend to see problems inside the cell in red. Problems inside the cell are red. Repair and heal an individual cell. Use your white energy beam to turn that cell to a brilliant white color. Now intend clearly that every afflicted cell be changed in the same way as the one you have just healed. Watch them all instantly turn bright white as they follow your intent and take on the healthy characteristics of the one cell you just healed. Now zoom back out to the original view. Again, look at the total health energy body of Ann R. Next, use your intent to direct a beam of high-powered intensity, bright white light, to make the entire energy body glow with intense white light. Intend that this energy body stays super bright, healthy white for a long, long time. Intend that the energy you have placed on this body is so great that it will take the energy body a long time to absorb all of it. Let that image go and simply float in the void for a moment. We will now begin experiment 3. I have taken a picture of a particular object for experiment 3. Intend to have an image of that object put on a screen or a monitor in front of you. Remember what you see. Now put that result aside, with no expectations of what you might see. Watch me taking the picture of this object. Now put that result aside, with no expectations of what you might see. Watch me showing you a slide of this object at the end of today's experiments. Without losing your altered state, open your eyes and write down or draw what you saw each time. Then immediately return to float in the void. Next, we're going to begin experiment 4. I have taken a picture of a particular object for experiment 4. Intend to have an image of that object put on a screen or a monitor in front of you. Remember what you see. Now put that result aside. With no expectations of what you might see, watch me taking the picture of this object. Now put that result aside, and with no expectations of what you might see, watch me showing you a slide of this object at the end of today's experiments. Without losing your altered state, open your eyes and write down or draw what you saw each time. Then immediately return to float in the void. We are ready for experiment 5. I will give you a few minutes to remote view or heal a subject of your choice. Open your eyes very slowly and let the experience go. Slowly and gradually re-embrace the physical world. After you have fully returned, write down any notes on any of the experiences you might wish to remember, or any comments or any questions that may have come up. Take as much time as you need. Okay, now comes the truth data of what these things were. Okay, first, I want to point out a few things. I wanted you first to just have the experience any way that you wanted to experience it, but a few comments. You noticed that what we're doing is making a tool that will help us focus our intent. There's nothing fundamental about the light. There's nothing fundamental about that humanoid shape. There's nothing fundamental about the light beam you put on it, or the colors, or the color scheme, or any of the rest of it. These are just tools to help you focus your intent on a very specific outcome. Okay. That's usually you will have more effect if you focus on a very specific outcome. If you focus on a general outcome like good health, feel better, that sort of thing, it's just general, it'll still have an effect, but it'll be a very general effect. It won't have the power to focus. So the more you know about physiology, the more you know about what these diseases might be like, the more you can accurately focus in on them. So partly your knowledge helps here as well. But we're making symbols, we're making metaphors. So the humanoid body was a metaphor for this person's body. And then you had an intent to see what was healthy and what wasn't with a color scheme. You have to tell the system what your output format is. Our first output format was white is healthy, black is not. But it works just as well to give it the other color scheme. Or you could make what's unhealthy red and what's healthy green. Would make no difference. You get to pick your output format. If it were something very specific, you might put it in graphical form. You might want to say, I'd like to see how this person fares, how they get better, how their health changes over time, with their health on the vertical axis and time on the horizontal axis. So as time goes, you'll get a curve. It'll show how healthy they are, and you'll have to put a scale. You have to say, here is terrible health, dead. Here is perfect health. And let the curve, you have to specify it. You can get output data in any form you want. All you have to do is specify it. You're querying a database. If your query is general, you get a general result back. If it's very specific, you'll get a very specific result back. If it's precise and if you've got a lot of focus on it and you don't have your mind yammering about other things. You're really focused into it. You have none of your awareness into your body or into what's going on or into how you're doing it or if you're doing it right or did you get it right. And you don't have any of your energy into all that other stuff, then you'll be more effective. So we're just making tools. And I want you, the next time we do this, which will be tomorrow, I'll make the tools even more complicated. I started just with simple tools this time, tools that are easy to use. And now I'll show you some other things that you can do. Notice one trick that we did on the second one is we zoomed in to a cell. That's handy for things when you're looking for a virus or something small or a cancer cell. Maybe somebody already had that cancer removed. And now you want to know, did they get it all? So now you're looking for cells. You see, if you're just looking for a black, here's a black dot, it's a cancer cell, but it's tiny, tiny little dot, right? And you're looking to see that tiny dot in this white background, harder to see. Well, if you make it the reverse, that you have black, and this white dot is the problem, now the white is the bad stuff, and when it's really bad, it's a beam of light that comes right up, out of the white cell. Now you see this black thing, you see these beams of light going up. Well, there are those cells. You see, we just change the tool to fit the situation. So you modify your tools depending on what it is you're trying to accomplish. Pick a tool that works better. If you just pick one tool and use that for everything, you're missing an opportunity to customize your tools to make them work better for the situation that you're doing. So your light is just your intent, light energy. We talk in terms of energy and energy bodies because that makes us feel like we know what we're saying. If I said, look at the data, you'd see a printout or something, and it wouldn't work very much for you. So we look at bodies that are humanoid, and we use colors and light. And the key is that we change it. It doesn't matter whether you change all the bad black to white or all the bad white to black or all the bad red to green. It doesn't make any difference. Sometimes it's best, and I'll do this later, to just let it pick the colors. Let the colors just appear as they're most effective. You can do that too. So now I'm just giving you kind of tools that you can use, different ways you can do them that will make this work. Okay, the first one, Michael G., had brain cancer, the left part of the brain, and it was in an advanced stage. You also notice that we could zoom in, zoom out. This is digital information system, guys. You can do all the things that you can do on your video, devices at home. All you need is an intent that's clear. All right, for experiment 2, Ann R had hepatitis. Okay, that's centered in the liver. And her symptom right now is reoccurring fatigue. But hepatitis is a virus. And it's not as serious as it might get because recurring fatigue isn't the same as somebody who's terminal with hepatitis and liver damage. So you maybe could find those virus cells when we switch the color. All right. The sunglasses was another technique because you make it white and your intent is to put a lot of intensity into the intent, and making it so white you can't even stand to look at it is another tool to guide your intent. All right. Now for the remote viewing, is my slide switcher still on the job? Okay, slide switcher, click it one time, you got it. That was it. It's a circular saw, and I picked that because the imagery is just different. It's kind of an easy image. Now, I didn't tell you this again because I wanted you to just experience what you would experience, but when you do remote viewing, don't try necessarily to see the whole object. Or if you try that, try it once, and if it doesn't work, then just look at different elements of the design. In other words, you might have a design element that was just a circle, and then you might have a design element that was a zigzaggy line. Just look for design elements rather than it's a circular saw. I don't know what it is, but I get the circle kind of thing, and then I get the zigzaggy line, you see? So you can go for piece parts in the image. Now, if you have a real complex image, that might not work, but if you have, I've got all simple images. If you have simple images, then if you go for just elements of the design, a line here, a line there, often that's what you get. And don't feel like you have to force that into an object, you see? So what happens to most of us is we'll see, oh, there's this kind of a circle and there's a zigzaggy line, and we'll say, well, that's nothing. That's just a circle and a zigzaggy line. Okay, I'm not getting it at all. What is this thing? See, we're looking for an object. We're looking for a whole object. We're not looking for elements in the drawing. So we throw away the circle and a zigzaggy line. They may not even been together. It may have been a circle here and a zigzaggy line up here because you were just picking up elements of the design. And you throw it out because you don't know what that is. That doesn't mean anything. That's nothing. So you say, that's garbage, and you throw it out. And you say, well, what is it? I want to know the whole thing. I need something that makes sense, something I can recognize. That's a mistake. Don't have to recognize it. Just get a sense of its shape, a sense of what it is, what it's like. And then write down whatever comes to you. Don't judge it and say, well, I don't know what that is. That's nothing that I recognize. This is a circle and a zigzaggy line. I'm going to work for it until I get something. You know, I want to see a chair. I want to see a dog. Or I want to see something I recognize. That's a mistake. Just see what you see. Write it down. Write down the elements. You'll have more chances to do this. But I first wanted you to just do what you did so you can kind of make a comparison between what you did that was natural and what maybe you need to do that's different. Because if I just tell it to you, it's not as good as you've had an experience. You've got a little something to do. All right. Push the button one more time for experiment 4. A whisk. Now the elements of that design would have been a line with a whole bunch of little curvy lines at the end of it. Okay. Now there's another thing to tell you, is that I always have 1 or 2 or 3 people in a group who get the right answers, and you won't know this until the end of Sunday, who at the end of the last day, and there's like 6 or 7 things out there, they kind of make an exclamation at the end of the day, and they say, you know, I got them all right, but I got them all in the wrong order. You see, they got something different, but they got all the right objects. But the one that's on Sunday, they got on Friday, and the one that's on Saturday, you know, they got on Saturday, and they're all jumbled. And the reason for that is that though I'm guiding your intent, if you, when you make up that intent, are not so specific, you're hearing my words, but you still have to think the intent. And if you do that sloppily, you might say, I want to see a picture of the, you know, the remote viewing object. Well, there's 6 or 7 remote viewing objects, you see? So you have to be careful that your intent is very specific. I say, take a look at, you know, for experiment number 4, and you go, yeah, okay, I want to see the remote viewing object. Because that's just the way most of us think. We kind of think sloppily. That's normal thinking. And when you do, you might get them all, but you may get them all backwards. Because you're just going to pick at random, right? You've made a request. There's 7 objects, you can fill your request. You go into a random number, you draw a random number, you get one of the 7, and there it is. It may or may not be the right one. So don't throw your papers away. You may find you've got one yet. So those are some hints about this. And it's just a few minutes after 6, so we're doing pretty good. And we will then have questions. And we can answer questions on anything we did today, and once everybody's had a chance to ask a question, we can ask more questions until we have to leave the room because of time, any kind of time constraints we have, or everybody gets hungry, whichever happens first. Okay. Do you want to, does everybody feel like they got to get up and walk around a little bit to kind of get back? If so, we can take a break and then come back for questions. Yeah, okay, let's take a short break. How about 10 minutes this time? Just get up and walk around a little.